And this is what you've been saying to that Magpies win on social media. This is from Phil. It says, tactically perfect game plan. No player put a foot wrong and a goal nobody could have kept out. What a performance and result that is. Dean Maloney says, think that's any thoughts of the title done. Even a draw wouldn't have been good enough. 5 wins from the first 10. And Henry Winter says Newcastle back doing what they do best. Horrible to play against. Aggressive pressing, big tackles, clinical in front of goal. Absolutely buzzing. Well, a hugely frustrating, disappointing day here for Arsenal, and we can get the thoughts of Mikel Arteta now with Jules Breach.
Mikel, what didn't quite work out there for your team today?
Well, I thought we started really well the game. We were very dominant and brought in the best moment after a direct play, second ball goes wide. We don't defend the box well enough. Credit to them as well. They put an unbelievable delivery and header in the box. And from there, game changes. You know, when you have to face this team, the moment they go ahead, you're going to start to play a different game. You have to adapt to that. We didn't well enough. We didn't find enough answers to a lot of the questions and situations that you have to resolve better. So at the end, very frustrated.
Yeah, you said before the game that the team need to show their teeth. Did you see the fight and the intensity that you wanted to see after going a goal behind?
Yeah, but it was more related as well with certain situations that obviously we didn't cope with them well enough, and we got dragged into a game that they are looking for constantly, and we didn't have enough consistency to get out of that game to play the game that we wanted. When we have moments to do that, we created 2 or 3 big chances because they didn't really create much at all, but that was the difference in the game.
You mentioned that lack of creating chances. Declan came so close in stoppage time to getting an equaliser, but why weren't there more moments like that throughout?
We had 2 big chances. Mikel had another big chance. Guy Martinelli has another big one. But yeah, on those games, especially when you go away and they defend after that so deep, we like those answers, you know, and if it's not like this, the amount of set pieces that we generated today, we didn't really convert from that as well. So at the end, you go little by little, not adding the things that you need to win the game, and credit to them.
It's obviously not the start you wanted to a big week with Inter Milan and Chelsea coming next. So how do you ensure that the team stay lifted and their heads don't drop as you head into those games?
Well, it's time to do it on the pitch. You know, we can say whatever we want. Probably we're not going to find the right words today because after losing a game, you are hurt. But we have to show it on the pitch on Wednesday night.
And just finally, a few months into the Premier League season now, what have you learnt so far as a group about the fine margins that it might take this season to challenge for the title once again? Yeah, it is always the case in this league, and you understand the opposition that you're playing, and the level is raising, and you have to be at our best in every department to give yourself the chance to win, especially when you play again away from home against these kind of opponents. Thanks, Mikel. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, 2 more big games away from home as well for Arsenal. How does that leave them, do you think, heading into that game against Inter in the Champions League?
Well, they need to turn the corner. This can be one of the most frustrating moments when you think you're making progress and you get results like you have done, and you've got to change the momentum, and that's important for them.
But credit goes to Newcastle for the victory today, and we can see Eddie Howe coming in to join us now. Well done, Eddie. Congratulations. A huge week, 2 big wins. How are you feeling at the end of that one?
Tired, actually. I think I need to lie down, but it was intense. It really was. I thought it was maybe not for the neutral, a really entertaining game, but I think fascinating if you're involved in it, because it was 2 really good teams. There was a lack of goal-mouth action today, but I think that's down to the tactical setup of both sides. Massive win against a really good team.
How well did your game plan work today? How effective was it?
Yeah, I'm always torn on that. I probably need to see it again to really understand the details of our performance. But I think maybe a slightly different game to one we expected it to be. But I think once we scored, I thought Arsenal played well, and we were just then content to defend well. And I think we had to defend well. They've got threats all over the pitch, so I'm really pleased with our defensive performance.
Your choice to put Longstaff and Willock in midfield paid off. You looked like you had so much energy and legs, and when you did step onto him, you won the ball. I thought both wingers doubled up fantastically well with the fullback. Both fullbacks were fantastic, Tino and Lewis. And I thought you looked so comfortable in the second half when you dropped into that low block. Was that something you was really happy about? And is that something you think might work going forward a bit more sometimes? Because you've got the legs, haven't you, to break onto teams.
Yeah, I mean, recognising your point about the wide men, I thought Anthony did a brilliant shift defensively. I thought he was a real threat going the other way as well. But a really good effort to help Tino, who I thought played really well. And then the other side, Joelinton's defensive performance to help Lewis, who defended really well himself, I think was key, because Saka's left foot and his ability to cross is a real threat. I thought we nullified that to a degree. I don't think you're ever going to totally take it out of the game, but sort of those details were big for us today. But just the attitude to deliver that, you need the right attitude. You need to be selfless for the team. Those players were and got rewarded.
You spoke. Sorry, I was going to say, you spoke to me in midweek this week, Eddie, and spoke about how you wanted to get back to that sort of character that we saw. We were looking back on the Champions League night. Did you see that in the defensive work today? Because it felt like every single block, tackle was being celebrated by the players and the fans.
I think it's down to you, Lindsay. You inspired me.
Make her more smart.
I'll take the credit. Sorry.
You inspired me to go back to the Champions League season, but that was actually very reminiscent of that season in terms of our general defending and our attitude to our defending. It was, as you say, heroic blocking, really tight spaces, nullifying their threats. Really pleased, and it was a throwback. But it's great to win 1-0 and keep a clean sheet. That's, if you can't play brilliant attacking football every week, you need to find different ways to win.
You're now, Eddie, you're 3 years here. You arrived and there's a relegation issue, so you've pulled the club back up to the top level, and you talked before the game about, let's look at what we've achieved, let's be proud of what we've achieved, and this fixture's been kind to you. I think you've won 3 out of 4 good times you've played Arsenal. Can you build on this now? Because I sense today there's a bit more desire here today, and you played deep and then you broke from there. You didn't press nearly as high as you normally do. It was a really good balance to your play. Yeah,
there was good balance, and I think, I'm not sure, this home fixture might have been slightly kinder than the away one. We found the away game very difficult, and Arsenal are a team we really respect. I think they're a very good side. So to beat them shows our qualities, and it shows what we're capable of. We've drawn against Manchester City here, beaten Arsenal, beaten Tottenham. So there's a lot at the other side, and we've been slightly inconsistent. There's games and points we've probably left on the pitch. So we need to put it together. We need to try and be as consistent as we can. But the Premier League is so difficult. Every game, I think this is probably the closest Premier League that I've known. In terms of the level of the teams, there's not a lot between the top and the bottom side, so we have to keep going.
You were back to boiling point today, though, wasn't it? It seemed to be a different desire within the group. You've only lost 1 game here, I think, in 12. So it's a really good record, but it seemed the crowd, the unity, Arsenal were up against it here today. Didn't get their game going, Eddie. Maybe they disappointed me, didn't disappoint you. But that says something about your team to be able to nullify Arsenal the way you did.
Yeah, well, I think you have to defend well against these teams, otherwise you've got no chance. And I felt we did, but then you have to have threats the other way. And I also think we did pose a threat with Alex scoring a great goal for us. I mean, I thought that was a brilliant un-Alex goal, really, because it's a deep cross, it's a brilliant header. Really pleased for Anthony to get the assist as well, playing on the right. Yeah, which, we know we can do. And then, of course, Joelinton added his physical threat from the left.
Can I ask you about Lewis Hall, the player of the match today? He said he can't thank you enough for what you've done for him, and he feels his defensive side of his game is really improved. How much do you think it has?
I think he's come on leaps and bounds, but I think Lewis is the one that deserves all the credit. He's the one who's had to really dig deep, show real resilience. It's difficult when you're a young player. You come to a club of this size and stature, a big transfer fee, and doesn't immediately play. You have to handle that. You have to know why, and you have to then go away and work at your game, and he did all of those things. And he's reaping the rewards now. I have to say the level of his game is very high. His technical ability, I think, is undisputed. He's attacking better, but he's creating goals for us, as he did at Chelsea last week. But the most important part as a defender is your job to keep clean sheets, and of course he kept a very good player pretty quiet today, and I think he's growing every week.
Doing his England chances very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's for other people to decide. I would put him up there because of his consistency this season. I think he's been one of our most consistent players week in, week out.
And just finally, it's your 3-year anniversary in charge of Newcastle on the 8th. What is it going to be like to celebrate after 2 wins like that?
Well, I don't think there's going to be any cake, unfortunately. No, I think these things you take in your stride. I think it's gone by in an absolute flash, as I said to you in the week. But still very proud every time we play a game, every day that I wake up to represent this club, and really enjoying the job and the challenge.
Congratulations, Eddie.
Thank you very much.
We'll let you go and have a lie down.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Ed.
Cheers, Joe. Thank you. Thanks, Martin. Excellent. Cheers.
Up brilliantly there, because Sean Longstaff is waiting to talk to us from St James's Park. Sean, very well done on the win today. How much did Newcastle need that?
Yeah, it was massive. The last, whatever it is, 4 or 5 league games haven't been good enough in terms of our standards, especially results-wise. And we had a big win midweek, and yeah, today was massive against one of the best teams in the world. I thought we defended really well. Probably still more to come on the ball and stuff, but I think you expect Arsenal to have a lot of possession and stuff. But I thought we defended really well, and the crowd was behind her, and it was a great day for her.
Sean, do you think that the signs were there against Chelsea midweek, and that was something you just built on today?
Yeah, I think so. The crowd was in it. When you early kick-off can be flat sometimes, and we had to get them with her, and we've done that with a pretty early goal, and then you sort of seen people fighting and scrapping for each other and for the team, and yeah, when we're like that, I think we're a really hard team to play against, and yeah, it's a pleasure to play in the stadium when it's rocking, and yeah, we're winning.
Sean, hi, it's Al. Well done. Congratulations. How much were you aware of how it worked and how you felt it worked really well in the midweek, the midfield balance, and how it again worked today with the changes that the managers made? Because I thought that was a huge difference on Wednesday night against Chelsea and again today. Did you feel that too?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think it's easy to sort of say, oh, that this isn't working, that's not working when you're not winning. I think if you're picking up results, and I think you can find positives in any position or any sort of part of the team. But yeah, I think for me, when I play, I know that I'm probably not going to get the headlines. I'm not going to be on the ball as much as a Bruno or a Sandro, or I'm not going to look as sort of flashy and stuff as them, but I'm always going to be there to cover them and let them play. And
in fact, he started the season very well. Newcastle didn't lose a game while he was involved, and then it's kind of like you kind of got out of the team a little bit. I know you're laughing at Manish, trying to do a serious question here. But you've got back in the team. I thought you played very, very well today. Sean, how do you feel it's going to go going forward? Do you think you're going to be able to really stamp a claim in that midfield?
I hope so. Yeah, like I said, there's some top players in the midfield area for us, and obviously we spent a lot of money on a lot of players in that area. So I think sometimes, yeah, you know they're going to get a chance, but all I can do is focus on me, and whenever I play, try and give my all, and try and play as well as I can. Try and get into the box. Obviously today it's going to be hard. They're going to have a lot of the ball and stuff, but no, like I said, I just try and enjoy every moment. Anytime I get to play at St James's Park, I'll never take it for granted and stuff. And yeah, like I said, I love playing. Hopefully people will see my value. Probably it might not be straight away, but I know sort of the more I play, I think the more valued I am, sort of thing. But no, like I said, there's a lot of good players, and if I play, I play. If I don't, I don't. But obviously, any player wants to play, don't they?
Keep going, Sean. You know, they always pick on the youth team players who come from. Keep yourself going, Sean.
Actually, Sean, the reason I was smiling a little earlier with Ian's question is he's right. You've not lost a game you've started. Your last start was the last time Newcastle won in the league, September the 15th. Surely you're going to have a word in the ear of the gaffer.
No, to be honest, I think some people think I should play. Some people probably think I should be nowhere near it and can't make a 2-yard pass. So I think there's depends who you ask, really. But no, like I said, whenever I play, I think you know what you're going to get. There'll be games when I'm needed, games when I'm not needed, and yeah, like I said, for what the manager's done for me, I'll always be a good teammate, and I'll always be good around his dressing room and stuff, whether I'm playing or not. And yeah, like I said, hopefully I can get a little run in the team now, and we can pick up some more good results, and yeah, get looking up the table.
Yeah, and talking of runs in the team, the run in the fixture list, the next 3, Forest, West Ham, Palace, do you see that as a decent chance to build on this momentum?
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, there's no easy games in the Premier League. I don't think you ever look at the fixture list and think, oh, there's the 3 points. There's not. I think anybody can beat anyone. That's the beauty of the Premier League. But for us, all we can do is focus on us, our processes, our sort of the way we play, and if we get that right, then we know it can be a game for anyone. And like I said, when everyone's fighting for each other like the way today, the crowd are into it, we can beat anyone, and that's what we've got to focus on.
Sean, well done today. Thanks for joining us.
Congratulations,
well done. You're
Sean.
brilliant. Well done.
Well done.
Thank you.
Newcastle midfielder Sean Longstaff. I like that because he was talking about the midfield mix. He didn't want to talk badly about Tonali and Bruno, and you can understand why. Yeah. He might not be the most heralded, but he feels... Do you think he gets overlooked in that respect?
What happens, and it's not just at Newcastle, is that if you're a homegrown player, you perhaps don't always get the appreciation of someone who comes in for 40, 50, 60 million pound, and Sean is a great example of that. There's no one who loves Newcastle more. There's no one who covers as much ground as he does. He might, at times, lack a bit of flair here or there, maybe what Bruno can do. But for what he lacks in that, he more than makes up for his attitude and his willingness and his effort that he gives the team. And he's absolutely right. He might not be appreciated at times from the Newcastle faithful, but if you look at him and stare at him, he does incredible work for the team. And I don't think that should ever be underappreciated.
Right, let's finish off with Arsenal. So no winning 3. They've taken 1 point in that time. It felt like they missed the guile of Ødegaard. Is that too easy to say? Were too many players off key?
Yeah, there were today. And listen, Ødegaard's been out for a while now. You know, we're talking about our managers. You know, with Fabio Vieira, we haven't seen too much of him. He was a player who's meant to be in the same mould. Emil Smith-Rowe, he's moved on. He's gone to Fulham and, you know, he's doing OK for himself. We're seeing Ethan Nwaneri come on, a youngster. He's got to come on in a game for a team that's trying to challenge for the title, and it's a lot of pressure on him. And you just feel like there's at this stage of the season, 10 games in, we should not be playing and being, as I used the word earlier on, tepid as we are, not creating enough. You know, not putting them under enough pressure. You know, like I thought, again, Marino wasn't tight enough in and around the midfield. I think he's still getting up to speed, but it really is quite frustrating to be 10 games in and feeling like you feel now. And that's only because we know how tough it is to try and chase down a Manchester City. So this will be, like I said with Bournemouth, 1 shot on target against Bournemouth, 1 shot on target today. It's not good enough. It's not good enough for a team that's going for the title. So, you know, there's a lot of work to be done in that dressing room. We can't keep looking and saying we're missing Martin Ødegaard. We can't keep saying that because we know we're missing that.
And let's have a look at the best chance for Arsenal.
Yes.
Declan Rice.
Yes, you know, coming to arguably a player that is very hard to question when it comes to output. But like this one again, you know, I'm not sure if it's one of those, you know, where the ball's curling in. So you kind of try to help it on this way. I'm sure he'd probably prefer that if it was coming in onto him. So like we saw with Isak's header, you go and you meet it. He's trying to keep it going where it's going, and unfortunately he's got it past the near post instead of just getting ahead on it to head it where it's come from. And it's much more difficult to do that when the ball's spinning that way towards you. But again, you know, it's unfortunate that Declan has missed the best chance for us, but I don't think we deserved anything out of that game today.
Here at St James's Park, though, Newcastle for the second season running have beaten Arsenal by 1-0. And Lewis Hall, the player of the match, joins us now. Thanks for coming out to talk to us, Lewis. Congratulations. Just firstly, what's your assessment of that performance and how impressive it was?
It was a really, really good performance from us. I think we know what they can bring. We've seen it all of last season, how competitive they are. And then when we went 1-0 up, it was just about sort of just in a low block, really, working hard together. And there's a lot of players in that team who probably don't want to be doing that sort of jobs, but they've done fantastic today.
How pleased are you with the way you played as well, especially the way you handled Bukayo Saka? We were talking about how tough a job that is before the game.
Yeah, no, Bukayo's an amazing player. So going into the game, I was just thinking if I can keep him as quiet as possible, then I think I've done my job well. So.
We saw lots of celebrating as well through every block, every tackle. Was that part of the message from the manager before the game about how resolute you were going to have to be today?
I think it's just the sort of the nature of teams when they come and play at St James's Park. I think every block, every tackle, every throw-in we win, it's just, you can see there. I think little things like that get the crowd going where at other places it might not mean as much. So it's amazing when you can sort of get that feeling for a block or winning a throw-in or something like that. Yeah,
the crowd were celebrating them as much as you were on the pitch, definitely.
Lewis, I'm going to ask you, so you've come up here now about a year you've been up here. How have you found it, first of all, playing for Newcastle? And your next steps with England, you must look at that as a pathway. Like there's not many left backs for you to get, and if you keep playing like that, mate, you're going to be in the running, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I think for starters, I've absolutely loved my time at Newcastle. I think when I first came, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little bit frustrating, but I think I've improved massively the defensive part of my game. And I'm just proud that I can wear the shirt and provide performances like today. And like you said, obviously there's not many left backs in the England squad, so I'd be lying as well if I said I've not sort of noticed that. But I'm just focusing on playing for Newcastle, and if I'm playing well at Newcastle, then that's all I'm cared about at the minute.
Joel's going to take some of the credit, I think.
Listen, I'll take all the credit. Yeah, I'll take all
his coach.
Yeah, for a few sessions they counted though.
It's all down to you.
What was he like as a coach?
No, he was good. Joined in a bit as well. Pop's still the best player.
No, I got carved open a few times. Don't worry, I was stiff. But today, Joe Linton in front of you, and Tino on the other side. You doubled up so well. You worked so well together. Was that something that Eddie was particularly wanting of you today, to make sure that you block the outsides?
Yeah, definitely. We know the quality that their wingers have got. We know how good their movements are as well. So if we could get as many bodies round their wingers, me, Joe Linton, and even Joe Willock at times, it's just about stopping the balls into the box, stopping little slip passes through, and I thought we'd done that well.
Yeah. Tell us about your relationship with the manager, because it's almost like son of. I'm listening to you talking calm, intelligently. How is he to play football under?
I think he's the same. He's obviously, before I came here, I wasn't sure what he'd be like, because he comes across as a really calm and sort of relaxed personality, which obviously he is. But I think he's got a side in him where if we need a bit more, then he can give it to us as well. He's a really good manager to work under, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done for me so far.
What have been the biggest improvements in your game, do you think, in the last few games? Because you've been in such good form.
I think it's just the defensive part of my game, really. I've always felt comfortable on the ball and good in possession. But I think the defensive part of my game is something that I've really switched on at. And I've worked a lot on the training pitch, and I'm glad I can put in performances like that.
And Alexander Isak was saying on the full-time whistle he hopes it can be a big turning point in the season, a result like this. Do you think this whole week can do that for you as a team?
Yeah, definitely. I think we didn't have the greatest start performance-wise, but we were picking up a few results here and there. And then the last couple of weeks especially, when we've not got the results, we've been playing better football. And I think that just sums up how the game is sometimes. But now we're getting the results and playing good football as well. I think it's something that we can build on for sure.
Congratulations on the win today and a player of the match performance. There you've got your old coach with the trophy for you. Just put that down there, Lewis. Well done.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Good luck. Enjoy.
Joe, he speaks so well, doesn't he? In terms of playing for England, is he just making a brilliant case right now?
He's making a brilliant case, mainly because of his performances, but also that Luke Shaw's been injured and Chilwell hasn't kept himself as fit as he would like. So that opens up the conversation. But he's such an intelligent and well-mannered and respectful boy. He knows that he just needs to keep playing like he did today. And that was a massive test, by the way. He's playing against Saka, who's banging form. And he dealt with him quite comfortably. Saka was not at it today. And Lewis Hall and his teammates around him and the structure that Eddie put him in helped out. But he was brilliant, and I think I can see a very bright future for him.
Because you spoke about that defensive improvement. He's always had good attacking output, but how well did you think he defended today?
Do you know as well, of course, we did exceptionally well. Livermento as well, the other side, just as well. And you look at opportunities for England, and he can play left, he can play right. So they've definitely got some really good young England players here. English players in the group, but it was how they played collectively today. They kind of decided, okay, we're not really going to press. I watched them in midweek. Chelsea passed around them. Okay, they had one success where they scored, but if they made the right call, manager made the right call today tactically, and then they executed that plan perfectly. But Arsenal just didn't turn up today. Didn't play the football we expected. Didn't play like champions. And now they're nursing those wounds with a very big game coming up in the Champions League in midweek.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Chelsea away as well next weekend for Arsenal, so a massive week in their season. We spoke before the match, though, Joe, about how well Newcastle were going to have to do defensively. Just what was your summing up of the game plan and how effective it was?
Well, it was massively effective. Arsenal were limited to two or three half chances. Declan had one at the end, and I think that's all down to this. We wondered whether they would step on to Arsenal. They did at times, but most of the time they were dropped off into this bank of 4 and a 5, and the distances were so well, and they were doubling up, and they was aggressive, and Arsenal were moving it, and they wasn't doing themselves favours. Martin was, they was moving it slow. But Newcastle were fantastic in this.
They were, and in a way, we've talked about Arsenal like the Thames barrier. You know, Newcastle did today what Arsenal are offering doing themselves, sitting deep. You know, doubling up here. You see Gordon getting all the way back. I mean, that's really seeing things through, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost playing like a doubling up fullback situation on that right side. Same thing was happening on the left.
And Arsenal ran out of ideas, Mark, didn't they? They just couldn't. When you're playing against a team that defend as well as Newcastle did today, you end up just floating one in, and that was Arsenal's afternoon, and it's credit to Newcastle and Eddie and the structure that he put them in.
And credit to his team selection today as well, Eddie Howe, because he did make those changes.
Tonali taken out the team, so your Longstaff were Whitlow in that midfield, so Whitlock. So it was a workmanlike display, and everybody played their part. Joe Linton does an amazing job, doesn't he, on that other side as well? So both fullbacks, wingers getting back in, but the difference is the detail today. One ball in the box, and Isak gets on the end of it, and Arsenal needed to defend way better than they did, and that really has cost them the game today.
Yeah, talking about Arsenal defending, 10 goals in 6 games now they've conceded, Martin. 6 games without a clean sheet. Why do you think they're losing some of that defensive steel?
Well, over a period, obviously there's been different personnel, there's been injuries to the back four. I think this is the 7th different back four in 10 games. But look, that's a basic. It's all about touch tight in the box. And if you look, the first central defender, which is on that side, Gabriel, just gets a little bit disengaged. Look, there's one player there, and there are 2 Arsenal defenders. You've got to be able to deal with that when the ball comes into the box. And that was the... If they get a clean sheet today, if they deal with that ball coming in, it could have been, a point that they take away. But because they get that wrong, and they've been so good at that away from home, particularly, but they get punished by Isak today.
Yeah, they've had such a steady structure, Arsenal. You know, the 2 centre-halves have been consistently fit. Ben White's not been fit, and they've had to move it around. Mikel's had to move it around, and that does disrupt you. It does. So I think listen, they will get clean sheets, Mark, won't they? There's no doubt about that. And this is a rough ride. But the big test for them is their mentality and their personality. Because they'll walk back. There's a lot of people tip them for the league, me included. And I'm second guessing that now after what I saw today. But when they got to go back into that dressing room now, and the manager's got to lift them, the players have got to take ownership of it as well, because they got a hell of a week, because going to Milan in the Champions League, difficult game. Chelsea are on form, and the London derby, and I think they could find themselves 10 points adrift.
I wonder whether there'll be some slight changes. When Yeri came on, thought he did quite well when he came on.
Yeah, he was.
Trossard didn't have his usual game. There are players that can come in and make a change. Does Partey come back into the midfield? Does Ben White now move back to right back? So there's things that the manager can do, but it needs to find a better balance. And they just didn't. You didn't see any of their personality today in the way that they create. And Ødegaard today was missed probably more than I've seen this season. Not enough creativity. Arsenal not being able to find all credit to Newcastle, but they didn't find solutions today to break that down.
Yeah, they can't get Ødegaard back quick enough, can they?
Yeah, do you know what's interesting? The subs have just gone out and done a little running session, and all 3 or 4 of the backroom staff are out with them. That's smart as well, because you're dealing with the lads in the dressing room who are going to be on the floor, but these lads are coming in. Some of these boys who just walk past us, they might be called upon in the Champions League and at Chelsea, because I'm sure Mikel will make changes, because Martin's right. Trossard was off it today. He's a fantastic player. But there will be changes, and they need to use all of them lads.
Guys, I just want to show you Arsenal's second half passes, because when we look at this, hardly any of them into the box. Does that just underline how much they're missing the creativity of Martin Ødegaard at the moment?
Without doubt. We know what he brings you when you press to win the ball back, when we're in possession, and that right-hand little pocket that he picks up. Arsenal weren't threatening at all. The 2 central defenders, Byrne and Shah, today. It was an easy afternoon for them. Okay, they had their midfield in front. They didn't really move too far. But nonetheless, Arsenal should be affecting that back line far more than they did. And they could have got away with it with Declan at the end there. Really good opportunity. He seems to back away from it. It's unusual. If he comes onto this, I mean, look, again, Saka, lovely teasing ball to that back post, and you thought, do you know what, lovely, that's going to hit the back of the net. And I know you weren't far away from me, Lindsay, and you breathed a huge sigh of relief when that went past the post.
That caused a few nerves inside St James's Park, shall we say. That was in the dying stages, but Joel, he has to score, doesn't he?
Listen, Deck gets it wrong. He'll be very disappointed with himself there. But it's going to bring back to that Arsenal centre-forward situation, you know, and I think of the great Real Madrid team, Carlo Ancelotti and Joselu, you play for them, who come in. You need to have an option at times, someone who can come on and just like we were saying, when Arsenal were playing it from side to side to side to side, the wingers were not getting no joy. So then what do? Saka's getting no joy out of Lewis Hall. Trossard's getting nothing out of Livramento on the other side. You're getting into the final third and you need to deliver it. But then you get the ball, you look up, and then you're seeing it's Havertz or it's Jesus or Martinelli in there. You think, I'm just thinking recruitment-wise, if you did bring a centre-forward, it doesn't have to be elite centre-forward who can do everything, but someone who's got great movement, someone who can get across someone who can finish that chance.
But Jesus could have moved more centrally. He could have, you know, you could have gambled a little bit more and just sent somebody else forward. I mean, at times, there was one break when Gordon was running away and they just took it off him because Gabriel came back. So gamble a little bit more. They've got the players, they've got the pace to do that. I think back to some of the teams I played in, okay, when you had your likes of Henry and Pires really going for it, you know, just putting bodies forward, and it was just, there's a structure, and it's kind of like, no, let's create something else. Let's put a player more centrally. Wanyeri came on to do that, but I think you could have had 2 10s in there to make it more difficult and try and find a solution to find a way through, but credit Newcastle for that. They were very rigid and structured, and Arsenal couldn't break them down.
But is Joel right? Is it going to be costly, do you think, for Arsenal this season, not signing a goal scorer, a natural goal scorer?
I don't think it was a problem last season when you loaded the goals they were chipping in, but right at the moment, I think the key player in all of that is Ødegaard. He was making it work, making it tick, and without him in the team, you can't find those pockets. You know, Saka's not as effective. Martinelli's not finding space. So it is difficult, and he can't come back in quick enough. I'm told, somebody in my ear telling me that he'll be back for Wednesday, you know, and that's great news for Arsenal.
Yeah, the squad being tested this season, Joel, because the push to that title push last season was very much revolving around their ability to keep players fit.
Yeah, and this is why we laud Premier League champions and teams that win it multiple times, like the Manchester City team, because it's so difficult to do. You're dealing with it, you will deal with injury crises, you will deal with bad decisions, you'll deal with players having dips in form, you know, tactical problems, you know, so they will Ødegaard coming back is massive for the club, because that just straight away, without doing anything, Mikel Arteta says nothing to his players from now until he puts Martin Ødegaard's name on the team sheet. That lifts the whole room, because he's a leader. But I just think that this team needs to take that next step. And I'm thinking solutions-wise in January, why not go and buy someone who's going to come on? You might buy him 3 or 4 times, 15 minutes to the end of the game, when you're throwing bodies into the box, something like that, just to mix it up. If it's good enough for Real Madrid, it's good enough for Arsenal.
You said before the game you still believed Arsenal could win the title. You had a change of heart?
I've had a change of heart, Linz. I've had a change of heart. I'm not quite doing the old Homer Simpson reversal yet, but I'm having a change of heart.
Okay, well, as we